Hey guys, tonight I am leading up to chapter 27. I'm about 65,000 words into the first book of the Resonance Cycle. I'm super excited. I am nearing what, by any definition, should be the end of the first book. And I'm trying to close it off and also reach kind of a climax that's going to get you excited to read the second one and set up the second one, because this is very much, it's a cycle, right? So it's very much going to be multiple books. And let me talk about kind of where I am and some challenging decisions that I'm having to make here. So first of all, I have a Coke Zero. So first of all, more Coke Zero. I want the character progression, and I'm going to talk more about this in a different video where I talk about character power, progression novels, LITRpgs. I'm going to go into that a bit more. But I'm specifically talking about chapter 27 and one of the challenges I'm having here. I want to set it up so that the world grows, right? At this point, spoiler alert, at chapter 27, the character's been going through all these adventures. The character's been growing and evolving more or less in isolation. There have been some elements of other characters, other interactions, things like that I'm very proud of and that I feel like grow the character, grow the narrative, and hit that lit RPG button where you get the protagonist, you get them in this world, and then you kind of fast forward them through a series of encounters to kind of justify them being able to survive, right? Because I didn't want to do a training montage. I didn't want to do something slow paced. I wanted to keep it narratively very fast, where every couple of chapters you're seeing something, you're seeing that character progression, and I really wanted a horizontal character progression as opposed to a vertical. So I wanted the character to have believable survivability without necessarily going to level 5 or 10 in the first book. I wanted them to be broad. So we're at a point now, we're nearing the end of the book. I'm very happy with where the character is in terms of power. I just finished writing a scene involving a dagger where we were able to show that the character's Krav Maga, the character's dagger proficiency, and some decent gear actually puts him on par with a significant number of lower leveled enemies, level 5, 6, 7. He can deal with himself if they're not coordinated and using intelligence, right? So he has a survivability he didn't have at the beginning of the book without being overpowered. Like he's cool without being Larry Stu cool, which is a big goal of mine. Like eventually at the end of the book, maybe he will be like so powerful. I don't even know. Like at the end of the series, maybe he's going to be so powerful that I don't know how to handle him, right? But I'm kind of plotted several books ahead, and I don't think that's going to happen because of, again, my fondness for horizontal progression. But the challenge I'm having now is I'm about to introduce the idea that the character can get some subordinates. One thing I love in my RPG games is when my character can start to build and evolve and create things. I want to add to the world. I want to leave my stamp on the world. Now, the very premise of the books is that the fantasy world is going to eventually go away. Like there's a time frame of a certain number of years before it goes away. So any building he does, he'll either have to like uproot and move over to our world, or it's just a learning experience for him. And the challenge that I'm having is how much to lean into him building, right? Because some of us really love like the minutia of, I bought this building, I constructed this building for this purpose. There's this strategy there, right? And then maybe I'm making it more of a tactical choice, and then maybe I'm assigning these units or these people to guard this place and grow it, and then we end up with this like fantasy where it's less of a lit RPG action adventure game and more of a strategic world building exercise. And I don't think I'm going to go world building exercise, but I do want to tease that one is kind of happening in the background. And I'm having to kind of change gears here because up until now, the character's been on this solo mission, and now we're going to broaden it. And I know I have to broaden it. I know the character can't just be on his own, chopping down trees and hunting endless numbers of pigs, right? Or hunting endless numbers of enemies. I'm not interested in reading a story where the protagonist walks around with a weapon and takes on armies of anything by himself, and he's always like, theoretically about to die, and then he somehow doesn't. That's Larry Stew. The definition of Larry Stew is, I think this character should 100% have died. And it's not that he has a heroic moment or that I can logically see how he gets himself out of that, or I can see, for example, in the combat that I just wrote, the character comes out of a dungeon and he's immediately able to go into a combat situation. He doesn't run away, right? He's confident in himself. He's got good gear, and he goes into it, and it's a good fight, right? He gets very far in the fight, and at one point he's at very low health. Of course, the enemy doesn't have a visor to tell what hit points he's at, but he knows. And at one point, the bad guys are like, wait. You've taken out enough of our people. We're willing to negotiate. Now, I think that's very believable. I think that if I saw somebody come out of a dungeon and mow through half of my people and my leadership was all dead and you had actually killed my general, I'm going to believe that you're a legitimate threat and that I should negotiate with you or I'm going to lose my life, right? That's what I like. I want the character to make strategic decisions that I and hopefully you can believe in. I don't want this to be a continuous, oh, he's at 0 hit points. He's dragging himself on the ground, and it literally has no meaning. I know I'm going down rabbit trails, but what I'm trying to say is like I'm transitioning from his story to a story to include other people, to broaden the world, to give you some world development, and to grow the next books. Otherwise, it's just going to be one dude. But it's hard because I've been writing for so many words. I've been writing for so many chapters about his story. Now I'm going to be broadening it a bit. I'm not going to say I'm going to broaden it a lot, but I'm going to broaden it a bit, and it makes me have to think in more of a 4D chess kind of way. It broadens where I'm going to have to plan. And that leads me to the rolls I'm going to have to make tonight. So I'm going to be making some rolls tonight. I have not put enough on paper to really justify all these rolls because these are places I think I'm going to go. So I'm going to make you this promise. If I go this direction, these are the rolls that are going to stick. And I'm going to do a separate video talking about just the rolls. So this rant video, won't be there. So again, this is my chapter, I think 27-ish discussion video. I owe you guys discussion videos on all the other chapters, but since I'm so deep in this, I'm trying to finish the book off. I'm thinking about it. The book's going to take a bit of a turn because I want to broaden it and show you guys a bit more of the world. And I wanted to talk about why. All right, I'll come back. I'll be discussing the roles that we're going to be doing. I'm just going to give you a quick preview. I'm going to go ahead and do that discussion video, and I will talk to you guys in a second. Cheers.